Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. I am Neva. This is Reading with Neva, and we are going to start our full moon readathon vlog. That's what we're going to do. So the premise for this vlog is reading like Jan. This is Kindle Unlimited Clean Out Jan's version. That's what this is. So this whole week for Full Moon Readathon, we are going to be reading books that Jan gave 4 stars or more. I'm pretty sure all the books that I have, she actually gave 5 stars. I'm pretty sure. So we're also going to be doing some experimenting with this microphone in this video. So y'all let me know down below in the comments how y'all prefer for me to have the mic. So this is obviously me just holding it. I'm trying to talk a little bit lower, like quieter, because I'm aware that this microphone is going to pick up my voice. So I'm trying to talk a little bit quieter because a couple of the clips that I have, I'm going to have to turn down in post, because I have a couple of vlogs where I did start using this mic before this vlog, and so I'll have to turn down like my volume of the clip itself in post. So I'm just kind of experimenting. I will play with like the actual volume of the microphone. I will play with like clipping it to my sweatshirt. I will do all of that. So hello. The first book that we're going to be reading for this vlog is The Poppy War. So I just want to explain that this is going to be a full moon readathon / KU clean out episode. However, if I do not finish all these books by the 20th, the vlog itself does not end until the books are finished. The reason for that is because I want to read all these books and I need to get off my TBR, but also I don't want to like stop reading the books in the middle. Like say that I only get 2 books read this week during the actual readathon, like I still want to read the other books. So I hope that makes sense. I just will make it very obvious which characters I managed to receive during the readathon itself and which ones I do not. So I'm probably still going to reward myself by saying that I gained the characters. I will just let you know if I actually got them while doing the readathon or not. So The Poppy War is the first one we're going to be reading. Now I do have some things I have to do today behind the scenes for like YouTube things, like work things, because it is a Wednesday. So I'm still like on a work schedule, right? So I'm going to attempt to find The Poppy War on like my library or Libby app. I'm going to hope that I can do that, but I do want to read some of this with my eyes. So I think what I'm going to do is we're going to sit and read the first couple of chapters on my actual Kindle. I think that's what we're going to do. And the reason for that is because I would prefer to do that and then find the audiobook. I don't do super well with reading with reading fantasy books audiobook only the first time. So if you don't know that about me, now you do. Sometimes I will not know what's actually happening, and that is actually the problem, is that a lot of times I will not know what is going on in the book itself when I'm trying to read it. Now technically The Poppy War I did have a loan from the library because I didn't know that it was on Kindle Unlimited until I was looking for something else and The Poppy War was in the search result. So I guess technically I'm reading it through Libby, but it is currently on Kindle Unlimited if you want to be able to read it yourself. So, and technically, like if I'm doing the audiobook, I'm not going to be reading it through KU. Anyway, right? Okay, so that is kind of what we're looking at as far as that goes. Like I said, I have some behind the scenes things I need to do today, and I would also like to diamond paint today, so I would like to understand this book well enough to be able to like listen to it as just audio, but RF Wong tends to have a lot of world building because Babel, however you want to call it, that book had a lot of world building, and for the first like 100 to 150 pages, it was just world building. So I'm kind of expecting a similar thing with the Poppy War. Now I do know that the Poppy War is like her first book series that she's ever written. I am like aware of that. So I don't think we're going to be able to get the audiobook because it's a 6-week wait. So that's great. I'm going to check Hoopla just to make sure, but we may just be stuck reading this physically. Not physically, but on my Kindle. I don't own it physically, but that's totally fine if that's what we end up having to do. But I'm going to go start the Poppy War, and then I'll be back at some point. I don't know how I'm going to break this book down because it is a fantasy. And sometimes when I read fantasy, oh, Hoopla has the audiobook, wonderful. But sometimes when I read fantasy, I can go ahead and like just listen to it in a big chunk and then come back later and update you. Sometimes a lot is happening and I need to process my thoughts. So I cannot necessarily tell you how this one is going to go for me, but we'll see. I'm kind of hoping to be able to just kind of listen to a chunk of it, come back, update, and so on and so forth. I prefer to do 3 check-ins. So I prefer to do a beginning check-in, a 50%, and then at the end. However, with fantasy, sometimes that doesn't work for me because I need to be able to like come back and like process what's going on. So we'll see how this goes, but we're going to start with the Poppy War. This is going to fulfill both reading prompts for the Grim Reaper, which the first one is a book that's over 400 pages, something that you could hurt someone with or use as a weapon. That's what it is. And then the other one is a book with death in it. Like I said in my TBR video, if this book does not have death in it, but yet it's called the Poppy War, I will riot. So that's what we're going to do. At some point, probably today, I will take a nap. If I do, y'all will be the first to know. But I'm going to go start the audiobook and hope that this is like easy enough to understand that I don't need the ebook straight away because I just don't really want to raise my eyes this early in the morning. It is early for me. It's 8:15. So what I am going to say is that I'm going to actually watch this 45-minute video about Tiny Bookshop because your girl needs this game. Okay. Like literally, if I don't get it by my birthday, I'm going to ask someone to gift it to me. Because even if Cozy K Games tells me that it's not worth the $20, I'm still going to buy it. I'm going to be honest. Like, I'm still going to buy Tiny Bookshop. I've already kind of decided, I think preemptively, that I'm not going to buy Tales of the Shire. I think we've decided that. Just because the reviews for that are absolute trash. And I just don't really want to risk it, honestly. But anyway, you don't care about that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to craft for a little while. That seems like a very Jan thing to do. I think Jan mostly colors. So I have a coloring app on my iPad. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave it up to the Instagram gods. So I'm going to do the behind the scenes thing that I need to do, and I'm going to run a poll over on Instagram asking if I should color or if I should diamond paint. Now, I am not going to color physically. The only person in this house that has any coloring books right now is Ari, and I don't want to use her coloring books. She does have some that are like this simple designs, like what like Jan and like my friend Brianna color, like the really like popular ones. She got some for Easter, but they're hers, and I have colored I think 2 of the pictures out of it, but it was literally for like a Ari, like being Ari for a week vlog that never came to fruition. So I don't want to use any more of her colors, but I do have like it's called Vista Color, so it's like a point and click, yeah. So like you tap it and it colors it in, but I also could use pigment. I don't love pigment unless I'm paying for it, and I don't currently have a subscription. It's just there's not a lot to do. So I'm probably going to do Vista Color. That's my favorite coloring app. And so I'm going to go throw that poll up on Instagram, and I will come back in like a couple of hours, maybe like 2 hours. Because I will watch this tiny bookshop review. I will do some of the behind the scenes stuff I need to do. And then by then I should have like results, at least some results on the poll. And then I'll tell you if we are going to diamond paint today or if we're going to color. To me, adult coloring, I hate saying that. To me, coloring and diamond painting are kind of in the same family. They are just using 2 different mediums. So that's kind of where we're going to go. I'm going to make some coffee and we're going to get started with our day. So this was a very long-winded intro. Thank you for listening to it, and let our week of being like Jan commence. Hello friends. So I'm here to check in. I just filmed a video. You won't care about that. But I wanted to come in and let you know what the poll said. So I set up a poll asking what cozy hobby I should do. And I only gave 2 options. I gave iPad coloring as an option. And I also gave diamond painting because I know that Jan colors like in coloring books with markers. However, I do not have that at my disposal. I said that earlier. So I was trying to come up with 2 activities that were close enough to coloring because I don't know if Jan does puzzles, but I do not do puzzles. So always my go-to when I'm doing a video like this and that person does puzzles is I will just diamond paint because to me it's close enough. It's still a craft. It's still a thing that you're doing that's fun, that's using your brain. But that's what I decided to do. My other option was to play a cozy game, but I think I'm going to do that later on in the week because we actually do have a prompt for that, which is like to play a game or do a puzzle. So I think I will leave Switch playing for when we do that. So it's a 60-40 split. 60% voted for iPad coloring, I believe. And wait, hold on. Let me double check because I feel like I'm going to tell you the wrong thing. I know that it's a 60-40 split. I do know that. So hold on. Because at one point it was at 50%. Okay. So yeah, it's a 60-40 split with 40% voting for diamond painting and 60% for iPad coloring. Hopefully you can see that. Hold on. There we go. I got it to focus. So hopefully you can see that. So here is what I'm going to do. I have a section of this diamond painting that apparently was uncovered when I went to bed last night. I'm going to finish that because there are some diamonds down on it, which means putting release paper back over it will actually mess up my release paper, and I don't want to do that. So I'm going to finish this little tiny section. It's like this big, and then we're going to pull my iPad out and we're going to do some Vistacolor, and I will get some b-roll of me doing Vistacolor. This is like a paint or a color by number type thing where like you just tap with your Apple Pencil. I don't love pigment unless I'm paying for it. I think I said this earlier because pigment is very limited unless you're paying for it, and I don't currently have a subscription to pigment. So I discovered Vistacolor last year and I really loved it. It is very easy to just like pull out and do while I'm just like reading, like listening to an audiobook So I have read the first 2 chapters of The Poppy War. It's very easy to understand. So I'm going to go ahead and listen to just the audiobook. I don't see why I need to be reading it physically. It was easy enough to understand just reading it. So I think just listening to it will be fine. And if I do get confused at some point, I can pick up the ebook as well. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to grab my headphones, which are right here, and we're going to pop them in, and we're going to listen to The Poppy War while I color on my iPad. But I am going to finish this little section of this diamond painting first, and then I will film the B-roll of me. So the next clip you see will be B-roll of me coloring on my iPad. Hello friends. So this is kind of a weird angle. Sorry you can see my AC in the background, but this room actually has an AC in it, which is lovely. But hello, I'm here to update this vlog for Full Moon Readathon. So you're at a really weird angle currently because I just remembered that both Tiny Bookshop and Is This Seat Taken have MacBook or Mac OS like demos. So I pulled up my Steam account really quick and did it this way because we don't get a ton of games that are available on Mac. There are a lot that are available on PC and Switch, but not as many that are available on Mac. So I wanted to try these 2 games and then kind of decide which platform I want to buy them on. I will be upgrading my MacBook at some point, but that is not necessarily in the near future, unfortunately, because my computer system is very expensive. I also would like to get a PC at some point, but again, not really in the cards right now, at least not until I can find a new part-time job. YouTube will still be my main priority because I do want to really build this community up and have it be what I need it to be, but that is what I'm going to actually do. So I did end up coloring a couple of pages, I think just one. Let me pull it up for you so you can see what it looks like, because I don't mind showing y'all. But yeah, I did put up a poll, like I said I was going to, over on Instagram, and it was like a 60-40 split. I think I already shared that part, but people did vote for me to color. So let me pull up the one that I colored. So I colored this really cute, I think it's just, I don't know what the actual like page is called, but I love to color interiors. So this can be like shops or bedrooms or whatever. So I'm going to set this down. It's probably going to mess with the sound for a second, but hold on. So that's the picture that I colored on my iPad. Again, it is just like a tap kind of fill-in deal. Like, I did not color it that way. I'm not that talented. And then I did start working on some changes in my book journal. If y'all want to see another flip through of my book journal, please let me know. I have changed some things. I forgot that I can link within this note-taking app that I use. And so I have actually been utilizing the linking feature in order to kind of group together some of my smaller yearly challenges, like the self-destruct challenge and the 25 and 2025 bingo, and then my 12 recs from 12 friends. So I've kind of set up pages for myself to do that without having to have like actual graphics. I don't know. I've seen so many people that use physical bullet journals just be able to like really customize, and I kind of decided that I wanted to do the same thing. So I'm sort of resetting these up to accommodate for that. I also really love Brianna from Four Paws in a Book. I love her 25 and 2025 bingo. The only thing that I didn't accommodate for is the fact that I cannot see what the prompts are for each book. So I am going to utilize, like, I have her bingo board, but I am going to go ahead and set up the page differently instead of using her graphic. But just know that my 25 and 25 bingo is from Brianna from Four Paws in a Book. So, which I've done very well on that this year, actually. So anyhow, I am going to go ahead and play, I don't know which one I want to play, but I think I'm going to play, Is This Seat Taken? It looks like the demo for Tiny Bookshop may be longer than for Is This Seat Taken. So Is This Seat Taken is a puzzle game where these are both indie games, by the way. So Is This Seat Taken is a puzzle game where you seat people in different scenarios. That can be bus, restaurants, movie theaters, etc., etc. And you try to make them all happy before you move on to the next level. And then Tiny Bookshop is exactly what it sounds like. You run your own little tiny bookshop. So I want to go ahead and play these demos just to see how I feel about them. These games are both just under $20, I think. Let me double check. Yeah, and on here it will also show you like the time played, which is so fun. Where is my search? Of course it's not going to give me search because I'm not in the store, right? Okay. Okay, so Tiny Bookshop is $17.99 on Steam, and then Is This Seat Taken is $8.99, which I think is about the same. I think over on Switch, Is This Seat Taken is $9.99, and then Tiny Bookshop is $19.99. So a couple of dollars discrepancy between the two platforms isn't that big of a deal to me. I am not a huge computer gamer, so we're going to see how this works for me. Honestly, it's going to depend on if I like the interface of playing these games. This is kind of why I wanted to do the demos, is because it will really depend on if I like the interface of these games on my computer or not. I think that these two games will be okay because they are kind of point and click games as opposed to like Wildflowers. I don't know that I would want to play Wildflowers on my computer because like I would almost need an external controller because of the way that I play. Wildflowers, you just move around too much. But I am contemplating moving some stuff over to Steam so that I can stream games, which I think would be really fun. It's just about finding games that are, one, cozy, and two, available on the Mac, because right now Mac's all I have. Eventually, like I said, I am going to be getting some, I am going to be hopefully doing, here we go, Mac OS. It does say that there are about 25,000 games on Mac OS, so I'm going to kind of look through and see what Mac OS titles they have, because that will really determine whether I choose to do it this way or not. But because I can get Tiny Bookshop and Is This Seat Taken on Mac, we might do some like cozy gaming chats where I actually play them on my computer instead of playing them on my Switch. But I am going to be getting a capture card for my Switch as well, so it probably won't be super relevant, but I don't know how much I'm going to like playing some of these games on my computer. So I'm gonna go do that. I also did not give you a book update. How dare me? So let me do that. I have read about 10 chapters of Poppy War, and I am enjoying it. There is really nothing wrong with this book. I just do not know if I am the person that is for this demographic. By that, or like, I don't know if this is a book that was written for me. By that, I mean, I don't know if I like, let me think what I'm trying to say. I don't know if I like war fantasy, and this is war fantasy. I hope that that makes sense. I'm not sure if I'm a huge war fantasy person, but I guess that we will see how I feel about it as we go along. So that's kind of where my thoughts are. But the audiobook is really enjoyable. The world is easy enough for me to understand. I'm not feeling slumpy or feeling like I don't know what's going on, which is always a plus for me with fantasy books, because sometimes I can't do fantasy as a first read as a physical or as an audiobook. So I'm glad that I'm able to do this one as an audio, just simply because I did not really want to have to take longer than a couple of days for each book, and this one is the longest book on the TBR for this readathon. So that's kind of where we are. I'm going to go now, and I will see y'all after a little bit. I'm going to play some of this game. If I can figure out a way to, like, insert some B-roll of me playing them, I will, but I have never done that before, so I don't really know what I'm doing when it comes to that. But I also am looking at the new reading journal by Arthur and Olive video, which, why is this relevant to me? It's not, because I don't use physical journals, but I saw it come up on my newsfeed and I was like, well, let's look at it. I'm not going to buy it. I'm just going to be honest. I absolutely love my digital reading journal, and I will continue to be digital. But I think that I like looking at them because it gives me ideas for things that maybe I can create in my own journal, even if it's not like a permanent page. But that is why I did a journal the way I did, which is a very bullet journal style. There are fixed pages for each month and for the year and everything like that. But for the most part, I can be as creative as I want. So that's all I have. Thank you for listening to this very long ramble, and I will see y'all after a little while. Hello, friends. I'm here to update this full moon readathon vlog. So I am about 30% through this book. I have not picked up any of the book today. I did want to do a little amendment because I think that it was a little confusing what I said for yesterday, because I said I made it to chapter 10. So I feel like that was a little bit confusing. Some people, when they say that, mean that they made it like through chapter 10. I made it to the top of chapter 10. So the way that this book is broken down is into 3 parts. So chapters 1 through 9 is part 1, 10 through 20 is part 2, and 21 through 26 is part 3. So because I'm wanting to read this in about 2.5 days, my goal was to read all of part 1 yesterday, which I did. So I made it through chapter 9, but to chapter 10. So I am officially on part 2. I have not picked up the book today yet. We had some stuff we did this morning, but I am back home now. So this evening I will be reading chapter 2 and then hopefully getting through chapter 3 as well. But if I don't, I will finish it first thing in the morning, and then we will be moving on to our next character. I did take a nap today, so I'm counting that. I did like lay down and listen to the audiobook on a sleep timer for nope, edit that. I did lay down for about an hour and a half, and I just listened to a podcast while I did that. I should have probably listened to the audiobook instead, but alas, I didn't really want to have to set a sleep timer, and with audiobooks, I have to set a sleep timer, and I never actually know how long it will take me to fall asleep. I am still doing this book as mostly as audio because it is pretty easy to follow without actually like immersion reading, so I'm glad for that. So I'm going to continue diamond painting, and I'm watching a couple of YouTube videos, and then we're going to go back to actually reading. So today I will get some like diamond painting B-roll for you. I didn't get any coloring B-roll because it was a little bit difficult to get like B-roll of that. I could have, I guess, screen recorded my iPad, but I didn't think about that while I was coloring. So I'm just going to get you some B-roll of diamond painting today and call that a day. We're supposed to be having breakfast for dinner. My brother is making it, so I'm really excited for that. So I will be back in a little while to update you on what I'm reading. Hello, friends. Welcome to this vlog. So I'm here to update. It is very late. Not really, actually. It's not all that late. It's only like 9:50, but it's much later in the day than I was intending to update y'all about reading progress for this vlog. So I have made it about halfway through part 2. Last night I made it through part 1, and I made it to the top of chapter 10. In my clip from yesterday, I said that I made it to chapter 10, and I felt like that could be confusing. If I say I made it to a chapter, that means I made it to the top of the chapter, but I haven't actually started the chapter. If I made it through a chapter, then I've read through that chapter. I hope that makes sense. So yesterday I made it through part 1, and this book is broken down into 10 chapters or less per part, and there are 3 parts. So the first part is chapters 1 through 9, the second part is chapters 10 through 20, and the third part is chapters 21 to 26. So I'm hoping to finish this book tomorrow. Now I am going to listen to some more of this tonight. I listened to a bit of it when I took a nap, so that is actually also done on my list. I kind of did 2 things at once because I did turn on like the sleep timer, and I took a nap for a little while and listened to the audiobook while doing that. So I'm counting that. So as soon as I get this book done, and then I have the first character, which is the Grim Reaper. So I'm hoping to be able to finish the book either tonight or early tomorrow morning so that we can start book 2. I just am kind of trying to move through these books as quickly as possible to stay within like the actual readathon time, which means I need to be finishing books every 2-ish days. Really, I need to be finishing them in like a day and a half, but there can be some overlap in the days, you know? So I'm hoping to finish the book tonight. It has been very easy to follow. I do not think that I'm going to read Mayfly, which is going to be our next book. So spoiler alert, I guess, unless you watch my TBR. But I don't think I'm going to read Mayfly as an audio. I think I'm going to read it as a physical book because then I can choose to set it down and walk away from it if I want to. Audiobooks for me are harder to kind of distance myself from if I've already started them. But Poppy War I have listened to almost entirely through as an audio. I did read the first like 2 to 5 chapters without audio. I think 2 or 3 chapters, not 2 to 5, because I wanted to get a gauge for the world building, but the world building is easy enough to understand. The Poppy War makes me think of like Mulan, but if Mulan went to a school instead of going just to the war. Does that make sense? So it's giving me very like Mulan vibes. I do understand that this is R. Guang, so this is an Asian author, okay. But the parallels between Mulan and this book I see them. I don't know if that was like intentional or if it's just like the culture of what I'm reading, but it feels like Mulan meets the Hunger Games with all of like the trials and stuff that they have to do. So I am fully enjoying this book. If I had to rate it right now, I'd give it like a 4-star. Like I am really enjoying it, but maybe even 4.5. I don't know that it's quite a 5. It's not a 6. I don't know if it's quite a 5-star, but it's definitely a high 4. Maybe closer to 4.5. So I am going to try to finish that tonight. Also, I would like to start Mayfly tonight, but I don't know if that's going to happen. I do need to read a bit more of No Place Like Home, but Brittany said she didn't really read any today, so that may get pushed off until tomorrow, just because I don't know if I'm going to read that tonight or not. But that's kind of where we're at with that. So I'm going to go now, and I have been diamond painting throughout the day. I'm going to go ahead and listen to some more of the book now that Ari is in bed, but I had to kind of wait until people were sleeping in order to actually pick up more of this book. I did, like I said, I listened to it earlier today while laying down for a nap, but a lot of times if I'm just sitting here and like doing other things, people need me throughout the day. So that is kind of where we are with that. I'm going to continue reading it and see how far into it I can get. I did read, like I said, all of part 1 yesterday, so I'm kind of hoping that I can kind of just stay up for a couple more hours and just read through as much of parts 2 and 3 as I possibly can get to. I do have another video that I need to film for Patreon. I need to do a flip through of my July pages for them, and then that way I can get that edited and put up at some point in this month, because July reading journal pages, I need to get those up sooner than later. I think for Patreon next month, I'm just going to show me updating my reading journal because I don't usually do that until the end of the month, but I do have some catch up in my reading journal that I also need to do, so I'm kind of like in an in-between with that. So that is where we are. I think I'm going to finish this book journal with me that I'm watching on Hannah's Reading Room. And while she's doing this, I'm actually going to pull out my reading journal and do some catch up, and then I'm going to go back to diamond painting and listen to this book for a while. So probably won't be back tonight. Probably will not be back until tomorrow, but I wanted to come in and at least update the vlog because I realized I had not done that. And that way we are kind of all on the same page at the same time, all of that. Yeah, and even though I'm not doing like daily vlogs for this readathon, I think I did that last year where I tried to do like a daily vlog. I do want to update every day. So happy Thursday, and I will see y'all tomorrow. Hello friends, good morning. I'm here to update for this full moon readathon vlog. So I have finished Poppy War. The Poppy War, I'm giving it 5 stars. Something from this book was missing for me to not give it 6, but I vibed with it the entire time through. So I sat pretty solidly at a 4.5 for probably 50% of the book, but then at about the 50% mark, I was like, this is definitely gonna be a 5 star. So I will be continuing this series. I did really like this book. I feel like R.F. Kuang's writing is just something that works for me. I don't know that I necessarily like war fantasy, but I liked this. I hope that makes sense. So that's where I'm at with that. I'm giving it 5 stars. I believe Jan also gave it 5 stars. Now, obviously, Jan and I rate on different systems. I rate on a 6-star system, and Jan, I believe, rates on a 5-star system. But I'm going to say that we gave it about the same rating. So for me, a 5-star is a near perfect book. I'm sure that to Jan, a 5-star is a perfect book. So like Jan's 5 would equate to my 6. So my 5 would probably equate to a normal person's 4-star, which is why I don't tend to rate lower than a 3. However, for the sake of this video, I'm going to say that Jan and I gave it about the same rating just because we both gave it 5 stars. Now, I'm going to double check that she gave it 5 stars. So if she didn't, I will amend this somewhere on the screen. But I'm pretty sure that when I looked this one up, she had given it 5 stars. So the next book that we're going to move on to is Mayfly. I don't remember who wrote this book, and I don't have my iPad sitting in front of me, but I will pop the cover up somewhere on the screen if I remember. I always say this, and then I always forget. So I don't know a lot about this book except that it is an extreme horror book, and I think there's something to do with eyeballs and teeth. I don't know. I don't really care. I'm going to read the synopsis to myself, but I'm kind of scared to read it out loud because sometimes, like with thrillers, horror books can give away things without meaning to in the synopsis. I would just say make sure to read your triggers for this book because it is an extreme horror. I knew going into it that it was extreme horror. I've not read any triggers, but I'm guessing that there will be triggers at the beginning of the book, and I will read them as I flip through the book to read it. So I'm a little bit further behind on this video than I would like to be, but that's okay. It is what it is. So I'm going to pull up Mayfly and we're going to start it today. Like I said, I kind of am hoping to get it done today. I think it's less than 300 pages. Let me just double check that before I tell you that it is, because I don't want to tell you the wrong thing. Give me 1 second to actually go find it on my Kindle because I'm having an issue, but I'm pretty sure it's less than 300 pages, so give me 1 second. Okay, so my Kindle was being a little weird, but I went ahead and pulled it up on my phone. So we have Mayfly. It is by CJ Lead. I could not remember whose book was by, but I figured that out. So let's talk about this book. So like I said, this is an extreme horror book. I will not be listening to the audiobook. I personally don't like listening to audio on, or I don't like listening to extreme horror on audio unless I am 100% told that like that's the way to listen. I am okay with gross stuff, but I don't love listening to someone tell me about it in my ears. So that's that. So it's won a couple of different awards. It's won the Golden Poppy Octavia E. Butler Award. It's won the Spider-Punk Award, the Bram Stoker Award. It was a nominee for that, and then one Esquire's Best Horror Books of the Year, and an Indie Next Pick. So Stephen Graham Jones blurbs this book and said this is gory, brutal, beautiful, painful, terrifying, and a pure delight. So I don't know about this one. Like, I don't know anything about it. It says it's both a blood-soaked love letter to Los Angeles and a gleeful send-up to iconic horror villains. And will thrill fans of slashers and the macabre. So I have no idea what I'm getting myself into. It looks like, just by glancing at the synopsis, that Mayfly is the main character, and she works at Disneyland. That's what I'm seeing. This seems to be along the same vein as like We All Die Eventually. You know, it's like this woman who is trying to discover herself, and she's, you know, trying to move through her life, and then a man like awakens something deep inside of her, and she becomes like murderous. It says a bolder, bloodier one inspired by the pages of American Psycho. It says untethered, Maeve ditches her discontented act and tries on a new persona. A bolder, bloodier one inspired by the pages of American Psycho. Step aside, Patrick Bateman. It's Maeve's turn with the knife. So there's going to be some kind of gory slasher, righting women's wrongs type of thing. So I'm ready for that. It does say that it is 277 pages, which means that it's telling me that on average it takes about 5 hours to read. I don't know if it will take me longer than that or not. I think it's going to kind of depend, but I am going to start this one. I mean, the cover is kind of gross, if I'm honest. Like, it's got an eyeball, it's got like teeth, it's got this like chick with her tongue hanging out licking the eyeball. Like, it's kind of a gross cover. But we're gonna read this. I believe Jan gave this one 5 stars as well. And this one is going to fit for our 8 or our spider prompt, which was a creepy book and also a book with 8 in it. So Mayfly is 8 letters. That's how I got the 8 books, the 8 book for 8 legs on a spider. And then it's horror. It's extreme horror. So that's where I got creepy from. So we're going to read this one. I'm actually kind of happy to be back to exploring horror books just because I do like horror books. I think people don't really know that about me because I don't share about liking horror very much, just because I'm relatively picky about the horror that I do like. And so it's hard for me sometimes to talk about it. But y'all are going to get me to talk about horror in this, and it's going to be great. Delicate Condition. I've heard of this book. Anyways, so we're going to go start this one, and then I'll be back when I have some kind of an update for you. Hello, friends. Welcome to day 3 of Full Moon Readathon. This is our Can You Clean Out Jan's version vlog. Okay, so we're on day 3 and I'm a little bit behind in where I would like to be, so I'm going to try to finish Mayfly today or tomorrow. So I really should only be spending about a day and a half on each book, but it is what it is. Poppy War I spent 2 full days on, and she was our longest book, I think, because I think Adelaide is shorter than Poppy War. So we are currently reading Mayfly. I'm not too far in, only about like 10-ish%, but I'm live, laugh, loving with Mayfly. I'm going to be absolutely honest. I am about to go take a shower right now, but I wanted to come and pop in because we've been gone all day we went to the next town over to see 2 of my siblings, and now we're home. So I read a bunch of Mayfly while we were in the car, and absolutely love laugh loving for that book. So this book is about a woman named Mayfly who works at the happiest place in the world, aka Disney World, and I'm pretty sure that she's a princess, but she names other princesses by name, so like Cinderella, Snow White, them. But whenever she talks about her and her like castmate, that they dress up as sisters, and she says that her castmate has red hair, like a red wig that she wears, and Mayfly has like a blonde, like a white blonde wig. So I'm pretty sure they're supposed to be like Anna and Elsa from Frozen. We've already gotten some talk of like blood in this. This is an extreme horror book, so I don't know how much of this book I can actually talk about like here without YouTube freaking out. But we already have seen them like get high on substances. There is some talk about snorting things. There's some talk of her castmate, whose name I can't remember, Kate, I think, being like basically hungover and high, and like her nose starts bleeding while they're like taking pictures with children. I don't know. The book is a lot of things, but I want to read a chunk of it now that I'm home. I did, like I said, I read some of it in the car, but I do want to try to read a chunk of it now that I'm home. So I'm about to go do my hot girl bath shower routine and read a chunk of it, and then I will come back and we'll talk about it. But I want to try to get to at least 50% of it. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go do that, and then I'm going to come back in here. We're going to turn on some ambiance on my TV, and I'm going to sit on the bed and read some until either I fall asleep or whatever. It is very warm up here. I have all of the windows open and the door open. It's just very warm. Also, my Ren Fair and Ari's Ren Fair costumes came today. So we tried those on. They fit great, which is wonderful. And that's where we are. So I'm going to go read some more of Mayfly, and then maybe I'll have a better description for you. But this is on Kindle Unlimited. I am not listening to the audiobook. I thought about picking up the audiobook, but I just don't know that I want to listen to an extreme horror book and be read to me, to be honest. So I'm going to go read a bunch of this, and then I will be back. Hello, friends. So it is day 5, I believe. So we have 2 more days of full Readathon. And I realized, first of all, that my camera is crooked. Hold on. But also that I never came back to talk to you about Mayfly. So my goal is to finish it today. That is my goal. I don't know if it will happen. I did go ahead and get the audiobook off of Hoopla. I'm having some trouble concentrating on reading books right now, at least reading like with my eyes. The only thing I seem to want to read with my eyes is the Wizard of Oz book that Brittany and I are reading, which is No Place Like Home. And I'm enjoying Mayfly, okay, but I cannot force myself to read it physically. So my plan for today is to read as much of it as I can today, because I do have Patreon sprints today with my patrons. So I'm hoping that because I have Patreon sprints, that will mean I will be able to concentrate on this book and do some diamond painting and some audiobooking. But my grandma passed away this week, not unexpectedly, because she's been sick with like stage 4 cancer for some time. She was in hospice, but I don't feel that death is ever a thing that we are wholly prepared for. So even when we know it's a possibility, or we know that like more than likely it is happening very soon, there, in my opinion, is no like fail-safe way of preparing yourself. So I've not been having a great time, but I still wanted to do this vlog. So I will say that this vlog is probably going to proceed after Full Moon Readathon, but I'm still going to give myself credit for completing all the books, even if I don't complete them in the week. And that's just because that is actually going to be my like little treat, like treat yourself thing. That is one of the prompts for this, because that is how I'm treating myself, is by allowing myself to still say that I collected all of the characters for Full Moon Readathon 2025, because I need like a small win in life. So Mayfly, let's go over it. I'm not very far. I'm like less than 10% into this book. So I'm going to be listening to the audio today, but essentially, I think I've explained this, but this book is about a woman named Mayfly, who is a princess at the happiest place in the world. I believe this is supposed to be like a Disney World kind of theming thing, because she does name drop like every princess in the Disney universe except the Frozen sisters, Anna and Elsa. And I believe that her and her partner in this book are Anna and Elsa. Please look at your triggers. This is an extreme horror book, so like I feel like it's self-explanatory to look at triggers, but there is a lot of talk of drugs and gore and just a lot of things in this, but I am wholeheartedly enjoying it. It is something else. I will say that. It is different than any book I've ever read, probably. I don't know. This one and We All Rot Eventually, which I did not read for this vlog. I was going to, but it will be in a different vlog. Both of those books for me are just crazy sauce. Like, I think it's because I have not delved into extreme horror in quite some time, but I think I forgot that extreme horror when the main characters or the main character are women, or at least people that identify as women. It tends to be like a very like woman empowerment, like agreeing with women's wrongs kind of book. It's very much like female rage, right? And it makes me want to actually like read more extreme horror. So that may be like a thing that becomes part of the repertoire like throughout the months, because I think I just didn't realize how much I actually like extreme horror. So that is where we are. Today is the 18th of August, so we have 2 more days of this readathon, but this vlog is probably going to go beyond that, like I said, because the next book after this is like romance. Like, it's a different kind of a track. I am going to try to find the audiobook for the next one, just because it still counts as a KU clean out. This is like a compassion clause or like a grace clause for myself. I'm allowed to read the KU books in any format that I want. So I can either, I'm never going to read them as physical books, but I can read them on my Kindle as KU books, or I can listen to the audios. And the reason I decided to include this is because there are some KU books on my TBR that the audiobook is included with your KU download. So originally I was like, well, how about I only read them with the KU or with the audio download if it's involved in KU, like included. But I was like, that's not graceful enough for you, and that would take me too long to make each episode. So I am going to try to find the audiobook for the last 2 books that we have for this vlog, other than Mayfly, because I've already found it. And if I can't, then it's fine. I will read them at the pace I'm able to. So that is where we are. And I just wanted to come in and check in. So I'll be back sometime later today. It's very early in the morning, but I'll be back sometime later today to let you know how I'm doing, probably at the 50% mark. So I'm going to listen to the audio for a little while now and see how far I can get. Hello, friends. It is day 6. Okay, it's day 6 of the Full Moon Readathon. And yesterday, I made it to 28% of Mayfly. I don't know if I'm going to finish this today. I'm going to be real. I'm going to be real and honest. I have only managed to get 1 character. So I think what's going to happen is tomorrow is our last day of full moon readathon. So I think I will finish Mayfly tomorrow. That will be my plan. That will be all I read tomorrow is Mayfly, and I will get that done. And then once that is done, we will start the next book. But this full moon readathon is going to go longer than full moon readathon actually runs. I'm going to give myself to the end of the month to finish the books. It shouldn't take me that long because the other 2 books, I'm pretty sure I have both of them as audiobooks. So I know I have at least one of them as an audio. So we're going to continue this vlog, like I said, until I finish all of the books, because this is Kindle Unlimited Jan's version, and that's totally fine. I kind of had a feeling that it would take me a couple of days longer, but with the death of my grandma, it's just everything in life is taking me longer. So I made it to 28% of Mayfly. I am enjoying this book. It is crazy. If you don't like horror, don't read this. Please, for the love of God. I don't even care like what your triggers are. Like, even if you're like, oh, I'd like to try this as like my first horror. No, it's definitely like a women's revenge, women's rage story. But I am enjoying it. So the audiobook narrator is really nice, so I've been listening to it that way. And yeah, so that is where we are at with that. So my plan is to finish it tomorrow because I have 2 books, including a new release that I want to read today. So I want to finish a book today and then start the new release today, because that new release actually came out today, and that is Love Arranged by Lauren Asher. So I wanted to really start that, but I don't think I'll read it all today anyways. So we're going to finish the other book. We're going to start Love Arranged, and then tomorrow, on the last day of full moon, we will read Mayfly. So I will try to grab some B-roll of me finishing this Hulk diamond painting that I am absolutely despising. The drills are really trashy. The canvas is not great. I'm chalking it up to just being like a one-off where the kit just kind of sucks. And then we're going to kit up a new kit. So I'll probably get B-roll of me kitting up my Halloween kit for Drills and Chills, because I'm so excited for that one. But I won't be starting that one. I'll just be kitting it up. So I'm going to go and I'll grab some B-roll for the next little clip. And then I'll be back tomorrow to talk to y'all about Mayfly.
And graduates of the Salmon P. Chase College of Law. Ryan's grandfather had even served as senior counsel for PG&E and was vice president of the Committee of 500, the same organization that helped rid Newport, Kentucky of organized crime in the 1960s. For the Postons, law wasn't just a profession, it was a legacy, and Ryan was ready to carry it forward. To prepare for law school, Ryan moved into a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom condo in Highland Heights, Kentucky. Suite 10 at 12 Meadow Lane would become Ryan's home base for the next several years. Highland Heights sits just 10 miles from Fort Mitchell, where he grew up, and 7 miles south of Cincinnati. What started as a farming community in the 1920s had grown into a quiet suburb with a population of about 6,000. It's home to Northern Kentucky University and blends residential neighborhoods with small businesses, Fortune 500 companies, and just enough restaurants and shops to keep things interesting. And it made sense for Ryan to land there. Not only was it so close to home, but it was also close to Ryan's new college, Chase Law School, the very place where his grandfather and uncle had studied before him. The Salmon P. Chase College of Law is a small public school on the campus of Northern Kentucky University. With fewer than 400 students and a faculty of about 65, it has a long-standing tradition of producing respected lawyers. The school is named for U.S. Chief Justice Salmon P. Chase, who was appointed to the Supreme Court by President Abraham Lincoln in 1864. Before his appointment, Chase served as a senator and governor of Ohio and as Lincoln's Secretary of the Treasury. He'd been a fierce abolitionist and often represented enslaved people and those who helped them escape, sometimes free of charge. Chase was known in his time as the Attorney General of runaway slaves. The law school eventually relocated across the river and became part of Kentucky State University's system. While attending Chase, Ryan took on a law clerk internship just over the state line in downtown Cincinnati. That kind of cross-state commute was common in the region, and Ryan fit right in. His mentors at the farm remembered him as a sharp dresser and a hard worker. Like, even when he was just doing an internship, even when, it wasn't his own company or his full-time career, he always wore a suit to work every single day. He was also someone who often stayed late into the night, not necessarily to impress anybody or, show them that he was burning the midnight oil, but he was just so dedicated to mastering the work in front of him. The law is very complex. There's really so many gray areas. Nothing's black and white here. There's so many loopholes and things you can figure out. I think the best lawyers really do familiarize themselves with the law inside and out, and that's exactly what Ryan Poston was doing, or trying to do, and honestly would eventually do. At home, Ryan lived with his roommate, Matt Heron. We talked about Matt briefly, but Matt was a close friend from Indiana University, and Matt said law school didn't seem hard for Ryan. I mean, Ryan already got an undergraduate degree in like 3 different majors, so I feel like law school would be a breeze by that point, but Matt said they would often stay up late debating political philosophy, literally just for the fun of it. And I totally understand that, actually. Matt actually remembered Ryan as someone who was good at everything. Matt said, quote, he was smart. People listened to him when he talked about anything. He could speak intelligently about anything, end quote. Allie Wagner, another close friend of Ryan's, said, quote, I just always thought that I was going to see Ryan make it so big. And he was on his way. He really was. He was too smart to not ever make it big, end quote. So in 2008, Ryan graduated from law school. He continued living with Matt in Highland Heights and eventually passed the bar in Kentucky. The following year, he passed the Ohio bar as well. And at first, he worked at a law firm with a partner and continued building his career from there. And outside of work, Ryan spent time with his dog, a Maltese Yorkie mix named Oliver. And he kept up with his favorite things, right? Chess, bourbon, politics, philosophy, and target shooting. His dad, Jay, was a regular presence at the condo, not just to visit, but to help. One time, Ryan asked Jay to drop off some shirts at the cleaners, and from then on, Jay took it upon himself to do Ryan's laundry and clean the condo 3 times a week. So Ryan Poston, a lot of great qualities, right? Like 99% perfect, but he did not care much about keeping a clean apartment. He didn't care much about tidiness, but his father Jay did, and so he kept the space in order. And the two of them also spent a lot of time hanging out together, often discussing politics and world events, or just talking about life, like what was going on in Ryan's life, what was going on in Jay's life, etc. In the spring of 2011, Ryan had just ended a long-term relationship with a woman named Lauren Worley. She was a student at Chase Law School, and Ryan met her in 2000.
It's time to get back to people. That's what Go One does. We bring all your essential training content together, like compliance, leadership, and technical skills, into a single solution.
Hello friends,
And if you
so
need training
I
on
am
any
here
topic, no
to
problem.
let you know
Go
that I
One
am
has that too,
officially starting.
all within the
You made
platforms you already use.
you made a
More
full of death
connecting,
with your
more
baby.
building, more
I was
impact.
supposed to start this yesterday.
Go One
Okay,
and
but
done.
it is what it is. We have the audiobook, so we're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna start it. And it's gonna be great. So that's what we're gonna do, is we're gonna go ahead and start this. I don't know how long it's going to take me to do this book. I'm kind of hoping to get a big chunk of it done today, just
I'm more than
because
relaxing on that.
I'm
I don't want to spend my
behind on
time
this column
my
that I
way.
would like to be, but that's okay.
I chose pizza stuff because
But
it
I
works for
have
me and my
definitely
busy life.
reminded myself when it comes to this book, so we're going to start with that. I don't know a lot about this book. I know
Slow
that it is
disability
a
progression. When ready,
review
we
of
take it at
all
home in 1 minute
this
a month.
author's
Don't
books
take if you find
are.
an allergic or life-threatening reaction to key symptom or have hepatitis B. Your doctor should test for hepatitis B before treatment. If you've had it, it could return. Serious side effects, including fatal infections, can happen, especially taken before or after other medicines that weaken the immune system. PML, a rare brain infection.
Part of the issue is that Sasha's video is so many fucking clips.
Or you are.
After he already graduated and while he was studying for the bar exam, Lauren said that it was love at first sight. She said, quote, I thought he was the most beautiful thing I had ever seen in my life. It was love at first sight, and I guess it was 3 days later I had the key to his apartment. I remember thinking, I cannot believe that he wants to date me. He's just so perfect and so beautiful. Ryan Poston is one of a kind. I felt so loved, end quote. The happy couple soon got an apartment together along with 2 dogs, Max and Lily. And everyone thought they were the perfect couple, including Lauren's previous roommate, before she lived with Ryan. And this previous roommate described Ryan Poston as being like Edward Cullen from Twilight. And this roommate said, quote, "He is just such a protector, so soft-spoken, always there. Even his build was similar to Ryan's," end quote. Now, one of Ryan's big interests was guns, and this actually made Lauren feel safe. She said that Ryan would always have a gun on him, one in his boot, one in his holster, and she said, quote, "It was almost like that guy is a man and he can protect," end quote. He may have been a protector, he may have been a gun guy, but Ryan was also dedicated to self-defense and gun safety. And because they lived together and he had firearms around, Ryan showed Lauren how to shoot and safely handle a gun because he didn't ever want her to pick one up and end up hurting herself or someone else. Lauren also really loved Ryan's family. She liked how motivated, successful, and loving they were. And just in general, how they made everyone feel welcome and comfortable. She said she could tell they were all movers and shakers who were doing big things. It's like every single person in this family is just up to something good, something big. They're motivated, they have dreams, they have aspirations, and they're actually doing things to reach those dreams and aspirations. And yes, Ryan and Lauren, they did break up. And Lauren would later say, quote, "We broke up always thinking, in the back of my mind at least, that we would end up back together," end quote. According to friends and family, Ryan was still processing that breakup when he started seeing someone new. Her name was Shayna Michelle Hoovers. The two met on Facebook after Ryan sent Shayna a friend request. So he'd come across a photo of her in a bikini taken in Daytona Beach and decided to reach out. And I think he was probably looking through his recommended friends and saw Shayna because Shayna knew Ryan's cousin. I think she was friends or acquaintances or knew Ryan's cousin somehow, and so he probably saw her in his, people you might know section. So he sends her, what is it called, a DM? It's called a DM, right? He sends her a Facebook message, and Shayna replied very quickly, right? Her first message to Ryan said, "How do I know you? And you're gorgeous, by the way." And then Ryan responded to Shayna, "You're not too bad yourself, ha ha." And just like that, the path of Ryan Poston's life would be forever altered. Shayna Michelle Hoovers was born on April 8, 1991, to her parents Sharon and Robert Hoovers
When?
in Kentucky.
She say November 8th? Oh shit, right now.
And just like that, the path of Ryan Poston's life would be forever altered.
She's
Shayna Michelle Hoovers was born on April 8, 1991, to her parents Sharon and Robert Hoovers in Kentucky. She grew up in Lexington, the second largest city in the state. Lexington's actually awesome. They have a population of around 320,000. So if you think about the towns where Ryan grew up in, population of 9,000, population of 7,000, Lexington, where Shayna grew up, 320,000. And it's known as the horse capital of the world, by the way. Lexington is home to hundreds of horse farms and has a deep-rooted equestrian culture. It's a great city. I like it. So Shayna was extremely close to her mother, Sharon, who worked as a school teacher as Shayna was growing up. Sharon once said this about her daughter, quote, "That child has been a blessing to me. She's my whole life. My life didn't happen until Shayna was born," end quote. Now, Shayna's childhood friend Sarah Robinson echoed that sentiment, stating, quote, "She was very close to her mom. I think her mom, for a good portion of her life, could have very well been her best friend," end quote. And that's fine, right? You want, daughters and mothers to be best friends. It's fine until you're kind of getting to Ryan Laundrie and Roberta Laundrie territory, because I'm sure that Roberta Laundrie would have said that Brian Laundrie was her best friend. And maybe at a time before he met Gabby, at least Brian would have said Roberta was his best friend, but they weren't toxic friendships. So Shayna, super close to her mother, very close, okay? And she did well in life as well. She excelled academically. Her friend Sarah described her as being close to genius. She was in all of the AP classes, earned top grades, and received numerous awards for academic leadership. And outside of school, Shayna was a talented soprano and a gifted performer who really loved acting, and reportedly someone who would often boast about her acting skills and how good she was. And many years after Shayna Hubers had brought her acting skills from the stage to the courtroom, 48 Hours correspondent Peter Van Sant asked Sarah Robinson, Shayna's friend, was Shayna a good actress? And Sarah said, well, she thought she was. Shayna thought she was a good actress. Whew, it's chilly in that shade. Now, in the summer of 2008, Shayna attended the Governor's School for the Arts. The following year, she graduated from Paul Laurence Dunbar High School in Lexington and went on to the University of Kentucky, where she studied psychology. She studied psychology on multiple scholarships before eventually graduating cum laude. Now, keep in mind that by the time Shayna met Ryan, she was in her junior year of college, I believe. So this meant that at that time, when they met, Ryan was 28 years old and a lawyer, while Shayna was a 19-year-old college student. And is that a huge age difference? I guess not. I'm before the age of 30. He's like a boy wonder at this point. And Ryan's firm focused on personal injury law, primarily car accident cases, and it was really clear to everyone around him that Ryan was going places. This was just the start of a very bright and promising career in life. Ken Hawley, we talked about him briefly before, he wasn't just Ryan's colleague, he was just a fellow lawyer. They were friends, and Ken was kind of like Ryan's mentor. The two would spend hours locked in intense chess matches and debates about current events, politics, life, anything mentally stimulating. And you can tell that Ken Hawley truly respected his younger friend. He said, quote, he was going from 0 to 100 probably faster and better than any other young lawyer could have or than could be imagined. He was that good at what he was going to be doing. He was excited about his future, and his future was very bright, end quote. Ken also said that Ryan had a, quote, strong feeling of wanting to help people who wouldn't otherwise have access to the legal system and who might be steamrolled by the legal system without someone there to help them, end quote. Ryan believed deeply in being of service, and he took his clients seriously. He never ignored a call. He always showed up in a suit. He's still dressing every day in a suit, and he treated people with respect. His father, Jay, would later speak with some of Ryan's clients, and they told him that Ryan made them feel like they were the only person on earth, that their problems became his problems he wanted to solve. And I think that's something about Ryan that may have attracted Shayna to him, because a lot of people said this, when he was sitting with you and talking to you, he was focused on you. He wasn't looking at his phone, he wasn't looking around. He was focused on you, on what you were saying. He seemed genuinely interested. He would make you feel like you were the only person on earth. And someone like Shayna, whose personality and everything we're going to get deeper into later, but that would be really appealing to someone like Shayna. I mean, honestly, if you think about it, it's really appealing to anyone. Everyone wants to feel that way. But someone like Shayna is going to read a lot more into it than most people would. Even as Ryan's career was taking off, it wasn't without stress, right? And not just Shayna stress, it was other stress. So after he left the law firm he previously worked at with a partner, he was sued by his former partner, and this lawsuit hit Ryan really hard. He's worked so hard, done so much to get where he is, and now someone from your past is coming up and kind of hitting you with a curveball. Ryan felt betrayed. He felt angry. He lashed out in texts and online posts, writing things like, I want this piece of shit destroyed, bury him neck deep at low tide, throw darts at his head. At one point he admitted, quote, my brain has a tripwire in there somewhere, and if it snaps, I worry about what could happen, end quote. On Facebook, Ryan wrote, quote, so now everyone wants me to settle. A few seconds later, and I want to rig explosives to everything I see, end quote. Now, whether he meant it or not, I don't even know why I'm saying whether he meant it or not. He clearly didn't mean it. He's angry. And this was also a time before you really knew that everything you ever posted on social media would be held onto and used against you for the entirety of the rest of your life. You could say something completely benign, just like being dramatic and like, oh, I want to kill that guy. And then 10 years later, people are like, she's a murderer. So it was just clear to tell that Ryan was overwhelmed, right? Obviously by the lawsuit, by the pressures of opening and running his new firm where he's kind of the boss. He can't just come to work and clock in. Not that he ever did that, but he can't just come in.
Hello friends, for the full moon readathon. I'm here to update this vlog because we're basically done with full moon readathon. She's basically over. So I wanted to come in and let you know that during full moon readathon, I did successfully collect 2 characters. So I collected the zombie and the spider. No, the Grim Reaper, which is the first one, which I read Poppy War for, and the spider, which I read Mayfly for. So I did finish Mayfly like just a little while ago. I'm giving it 5 stars. Something about it is stopping me from giving it 6 stars. I don't know what it is about this book and then We All Rot Eventually, which I read for a KU clean out thing. I don't know why neither of them is 6 stars for me, but there's something missing. There's a feeling or something missing with these 2, but if you like extreme horror, I'm sorry, the chronic fatigue is terrible today, but it's been terrible. What am I talking about? If you're a person who likes extreme horror, I definitely recommend Mayfly. I definitely recommend it. It was like a trip of a time. I'm not even really quite sure how to successfully talk about this book without spoilers. But Mayfly is a woman who works at the happiest place in the world, basically Disney World, and I'm pretty sure that she is Elsa from Frozen. Like, because she plays a princess, and every other princess gets name dropped except for Elsa and Anna. There are also some other clues to them being Elsa and Anna, such as them talking about like her sister's love interest and talking about also like their snowman companion. So I'm pretty sure that they are supposed to be Elsa and Anna, but I don't know if it's like a copyright thing where she can't mention them. I'm not sure, but that's what it is. So there's a lot of gore, a lot of blood, a lot of drug use. So be wary of that. I would definitely check triggers before you just like jump into this willy-nilly. But I really enjoyed it. Like I said, 5 stars. I will read other things by this author. Yeah, really liked it. So another successful Jan book. So the next book that we're going to be reading for this vlog, because this vlog does not end just because Full Moon Readathon did, I will be collecting all the characters. I feel like that's going to be my little treat. That is one of these prompts. So I went back and forth because I have Love Arranged, which is the 3rd book in the Lakefront Billionaires series, and I know that Jan is reading this currently, like as I'm filming it, because I saw it on her stories. I started it yesterday, so I was like, could I get away with reading Love Arranged in this vlog? I'm going to tell myself no, because I don't have a rating from Jan. And so I don't want to read this in like a Jan's version video where she's giving these books that I picked 4 and 5 stars, and then she gives it like a 2. You know, I don't think that would happen, but even so, I feel like it's kind of cheating. But I am reading that in the background, so I feel like it's Jan adjacent. Although I think that I did find Lauren Asher. Like, I think I started reading Lauren Asher before I saw Jan reading Lauren Asher. But it was one of the things that when Jan started reading Lauren Asher and saying that she liked the books, I knew that I had found my people, right? Because Jan and I don't agree on every book. So one of Jan's favorite books is a book that I absolutely refuse to ever pick up again. I DNF'd it twice, and that is what is it called? Like the Addie LaRue book, okay? I DNF'd that book twice, And I really tried with it. Like, I tried reading it on my Kindle, DNF'd it, and then at like 60 pages, and then I made it like 90 or 95 pages in with the audiobook, and I was like, I don't care about this at all. I know she loved it though. But Jan and I have since found books, shall I say, because Jan's not reading any books that I'm reading, but I have since found that Jan and I do run in similar circles with some books. Lauren Asher happens to be an author that we both like. So I don't think she will rate this low, but it's not a book that I picked for this video. So the next book that we're going to read for this video specifically is Adelaide. I don't have my iPad in front of me at the moment. Sorry, my brain fog is crazy today. Part of that's the anxiety because we had to go to back to school night, and back to school night there's a lot of people and I don't love it. You know what I mean? But it's important for Ari, so we go. So Adelaide is compared to, by some people, Magnolia Parks. So Jan DNF'd Magnolia Parks. I gave Magnolia Parks six stars. This is one of those books where we did not agree. She DNF'd it. And I'm talking about the first book, the original first book, Magnolia Parks. I'm not talking about any subsequent books in the series. I've since read more in the series. Of course, Jan's not going to. She DNF'd the first one. So she DNF'd Magnolia Parks. I gave Magnolia Parks 6 stars and then continued the series. I have since given Daisy Hates 5 stars, Long Way Home 6 stars, and The Great Undoing 5 stars. I just don't love the Daisy storyline as much as the Magnolia storyline, so that might just be like a me problem. I don't care. I'll take it. However, when Jan knew that I liked Magnolia Parks, she had told me to try Adelaide. So that's what we're going to do. This book has been on my TBR for over a year because it was meant to be filmed in a different Reading Like Jan vlog, and I never got to it. So we're going to get to it now. And I'm a little scared because, first of all, what if I like this one more than Magnolia Parks? But also, like, what if I don't? I don't know anything about this book going into it. I think I did read the synopsis in my TBR video, but I've not read it again, and that TBR video was made like weeks ago, to be honest. So I'm going to go start Adelaide. I do have this one as an audiobook, so I'm going to continue playing Switch. I was playing Switch when I finished Mayfly, so I'm going to continue playing some Switch and listen to some of Adelaide and see where I'm at with it. Because right now both my Kindles are taken over. This one is taken over by Love Arranged, and Baby Kindle is taken over by a book that's for another video. And so currently I just have like 2 Kindle books going at once, which is fine. I don't usually do that, but to get the videos done, that's what we do. Okay, so I'm going to go listen to some of Adelaide and then read some of Love Arranged, which isn't part of this video. But I'm going to go listen to Adelaide. I'll be back probably at the 50% mark. I don't foresee needing to check in before that. It is a romance, I'm pretty sure. And I was told when I looked up like reviews and stuff, it appears it is a relatively like slow burn. So I don't necessarily think I'll have anything to update. But that's what we're going to do. We're going to go read that, and then I will be back to check in. Hello. I'm here to talk about Goodnight Beautiful. I'll post a picture here. Goodnight Beautiful. So I am about 50% through this book. Okay. And we're live, laugh, living. Really enjoying this. I don't really know what is going on. Okay, so this is a thriller about a man who is a psychologist and a woman who is married to him. And they've only been married for like 16 weeks or something ridiculous, right? And his practice is in their house. Like, basically, it's in this like building, I think, that's like attached to their house. So sorry, the chronic fatigue is fatiguing. So that is where we are with that. Is his practice is in his house. Okay, that's better. Okay, so hello. And the wife has figured out that there is a vent in the upstairs office area that if she sits at this vent, she can hear everything that's happening in his office, like while he is doing therapy sessions. So she eavesdrops on these people. And there is this woman who I think she's like 23 or something, and she comes in for an appointment, and this woman has a knack for sleeping with married men. And so the wife is very concerned and is like, he needs to watch out for this person, blah, blah, blah. But her husband ends up disappearing. And that's all I know about this book. Do I know who did this? Absolutely not. I have no idea what the twist is going to be. I feel that I'm going to be shocked whenever I find out, honestly, because like I couldn't even guess what the twist is. So we are loving this book. I'm going to continue it. And then that will be, what is that? The third book for this series or for this video, which will give me another character. Now, obviously, we're way past Full Moon Readathon, okay? But my sweet treat to myself, because that's one of the prompts, is to allow myself to still collect these characters, even though we're like through Full Moon Readathon. So, yeah, live, laugh, loving this one, and I can't wait to read the next book that I have. I'm really excited. So I'm going to be finishing this one, I hope today, honestly, because I'm 50% through, but it says I only have like 2.5 hours left. So I'm kind of hoping to finish this before I go to bed tonight so I can come tomorrow and be like, hey, we're starting a new book. And I also don't have my iPad in front of me, so I can't tell you which prompt this fits. I don't remember. I know it's not the spider, because that was Mayfly. And I know it's not the zombie. Is it zombie? Grim Reaper. The Grim Reaper. Because that was Poppy War. But I have a few other ones that it could be. So, I can't remember which prompt this one is. But I'm going to go finish this book. I am hoping to be able to recommend this. Jan gave it 5 stars. So I'm hoping to give it at least a 5-star. Sometimes thrillers are hard for me to give 4 and 5 stars because if they feel predictable to me or we get to the end and the end is stupid, I won't give it a high rating. But I have high hopes because I think Jan kind of does the same thing with thrillers. So let's pray. But I'm going to go finish this and then we will be back to check in. Hello friends, good evening. So I have just finished Goodnight Beautiful by Amy Malloy. So we're going to talk about this book. I don't have a physical copy of this book because this is the Full Moon Readathon vlog where I'm just reading KU books. So I'm going to attempt to hold up the covers of all of these so that you at least know what they are and I don't have to superimpose them. I don't love to superimpose covers, and that's what we're going to do. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to talk about Goodnight Beautiful. Okay, so Goodnight Beautiful is a psychological thriller written by Amy Malloy, and this book is about a husband and wife, newlyweds, who move back to the husband's hometown to take care of his ailing mother, who has promised him a large sum of money. There's a lot of talk about debt in this book, whatever. So the husband's name is Sam, and I do remember their names, but that is literally because I know people in my life whose names are the same as 2 of the 3 main characters. So we have, I don't know how much to say because the synopsis doesn't say a lot. So I'm only going to be talking about Annie and Sam, but there is a 3rd main character in this book who I'm not going to mention at all because their reveal is not given until much later in the book. So for most of this book, we assume that we are following Annie and Sam. We have one character who is in a first person POV who you are led to believe is Annie, and the second character is Sam, and he is written in a 3rd person POV. So the way that this book is working is Sam is a psychologist who
practices out of what you assume is their home, and there is a vent in one of the rooms that you can hear through from his office. So we get a lot of background on all of his patients and things like that as well. I really like this book. Jan gave it 5 stars. I am giving it 6. So 6 is my top rating. For most people, they do a 5-star scale rating system. I do a 6-star scale. So I'm giving this 6 stars. The reason I'm giving this 6 stars when I don't usually give thrillers 6 stars is because I literally did not know what was going on in this book the entire time. By that I mean I was following what was happening, but every time that I thought I had something figured out, I actually figured out that I had nothing figured out. Like, I got to the end of part 1 and was like, oh, I think I know how this is gonna work. And then something is revealed in part 2 that I was like, wait, I don't actually know what's going on. And it kept happening like that. So while there were a lot of twists in this book, I truly appreciated it. And at some point, I started this book because when I downloaded it from KU, it said I was 41% through this book. So I don't remember, I think I might have picked this up like when it was first published or something, but absolutely wonderful, 6 stars. I will be buying this one. I don't usually buy psychological thrillers for my shelf unless I'm going to just read them off of my shelf, but this one is definitely like a must read. Okay, so because of the way that I remember graphics, we have 5 graphics, but I only have 1 book left. I've read the other 3. So, because the 5th graphic is like in the middle and it has all the books listed. So we have 1 more book for this video to read, and that is Adelaide by what is her name? Genevieve? Hold on, I'm looking. Adelaide by Genevieve Wheeler. So this book is, I guess, compared to Magnolia Parks. So Jan gave this book 5 stars, and I have not read it, obviously, but she gave this book 5 stars. I gave Magnolia Parks 6 stars, but Jan DNF'd Magnolia Parks. So I know that when Jan suggested this book to me a couple of years ago, she had said, hey, maybe try this book and then like compare it to Magnolia Parks. So that is what this last little segment is going to be. So like, if you don't want spoilers at all, I will try to remember as I talk about these books and compare them to put spoilers, but I'm going to try to compare them without spoiling anything. So this last character is the zombie character. So the prompt for this, the action activity prompt, is to use your brain, play a game, or do a puzzle. So I will be doing that at some point during this. I'm going to not do a puzzle because I don't puzzle, but I will either be playing a game or like Tiny Bookshop or diamond painting, depending on what my mood feels like. I'm going to try to find this one as a partial or as an audiobook so that I can read it and also like read it on my Kindle, but also listen to it if I want to game or diamond paint. And then for checking one thing off my to-do list, I did do things while I was reading Goodnight Beautiful that would check off for that. And then if anyone, I don't think I ever said this, but for the spider prompt, my like treat yourself thing is that I still get to collect all 4 characters, even though obviously Full Moon Readathon has been done now for a couple of weeks. So that's my treat yourself. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to start Adelaide. Like I said, I don't know a lot about this other than that it is compared or comparable to Magnolia Parks, but some people like this one better. So we're going to see how I feel because Magnolia Parks has a special place in my heart. So I will see y'all when I have started this one.
Hello friends, I'm here to close out this vlog, finally. We are a couple of weeks past Full Moon Readathon, but I am saying that I collected all of my characters. That was the like nice thing I did for myself. I do not think that I'm going to look, because I think I have some b-roll somewhere from the time period in which I filmed this video. I'm going to check and see if I have b-roll of me diamond painting, because I do think that I do. Now, I will be very transparent and tell you that it may not have been diamond painting like actually while I was reading Adelaide, but it would have been in the same time period as Full Moon Readathon. So I'm counting it. So I have finished Adelaide. I gave it 6 stars. I liked this book just as much as I liked Magnolia Parks, but for different reasons. So in Magnolia Parks, we're looking at a very messy, toxic relationship between BJ and Magnolia throughout the whole book. I think that in Adelaide, while we do have some toxicity with the relationships that we are introduced to when it comes to Adelaide, which I don't know if talking about those in depth is a spoiler, but specifically, like, Rory is the big relationship that we see, and it is not exactly healthy. I do also think that there are bigger and better conversations in Adelaide about suicide and also mental health. So I really did appreciate and love that about this particular book. So I am giving Adelaide 6 stars, which means that I do think that I have given all of these 6 stars. Let me check. I'm checking Storygraph because I don't want to lie to anyone about what I've rated these books. So we're going to go into our books on Storygraph because some of these I read so most of these I did read. I will just be transparent and say most of these I did read in August, and then Adelaide, obviously, I finished in September. So the Poppy War, I gave 6 stars. No, I'm sorry, I gave 5 stars. So I gave the Poppy War 5 stars. I think that ultimately this series could be a 6-star book for me, or 6-star series for me. And I think the reason that I sat at 5 stars with the Poppy War is just because I wanted to continue the series straight away, and because I knew that I had other things I needed to read. I knew that wasn't really a thing that I was going to be able to do. So could Poppy War potentially be a 6-star? Absolutely. But for now, it's sitting at a 5. So I gave Poppy War 5 stars. I gave Mayfly also 5 stars. I really did like this one. So here is the thing with me in horror. Sometimes I wish for the horror to be longer. So Mayfly is just under 300 pages. It's about 278 pages. So while Mayfly didn't give me the yearning for a full-length novel like We All Die Eventually did, I did want more, but I couldn't tell you what more I wanted. I don't think that makes sense, but this happens to me a lot with horror, so I'm not even chalking this up to like the author as the problem or the book as the problem. I really did enjoy this, and if this author writes anything else, I will definitely be reading it. The next one that I read was Good Night, Beautiful by Amy Malloy. This one I did give a solid 6 star. This was one of the best thrillers I've ever read. So this one and The Perfect Marriage by Geneva Rose are honestly my like god tier thrillers. This was an amazing book. Like, I thought that I had things figured out and then realized that I didn't. This was like a Frida McFadden book as far as like the whiplash and like how much changed, but better writing. Frida fans, don't come for me, but I'm just saying I loved this book. Like, I literally loved it. It was iconic. Okay, so that one, and then obviously I've just finished Adelaide. I did finish it a couple of days ago, but I am giving it 6 stars. So ultimately, I gave 2 books 6 stars and 2 books 5 stars. So I think that is good. You know, I feel that when it comes to fantasy, thrillers, and horror, Jan and I are on the same page. Some of our romances have been on the same page as well. Jan recently read Role Playing. I believe she just finished it right after I did, and she gave it 4 stars. I gave it 6 stars. However, I think that when it comes, and she and I have read some other, she and I have both read some other romances, specifically like Lauren Asher, where our ratings have been slightly different but have been around the same rating. So like maybe I gave it 5 and she gave it 4, or vice versa. So yeah, I do think that Jan and I have very similar reading tastes, but I'm constantly, and technically I think Adelaide would be considered a contemporary romance, it's at least contemporary. I think it could be considered romance. So, yeah, but definitely thriller, horror, and fantasy recs from Jan I will always take. So if she's watching this, just know that. I would take other recommendations from Jan. I just wouldn't go into them necessarily knowing for sure that I would like them. I hope that makes sense. I don't mean that like rudely. I'm just saying that there have been books like Magnolia Parks that I loved and Jan DNF'd. So I think that depending on the genre, there are certain genres I would always take recommendations from Jan. So, but that is it. That's all that I have for this vlog. Thank you so much for being so patient and waiting for me to get it out. I have some other videos coming very, very soon. So we are just working hard behind the scenes. School is now back in full swing. So I'm finally able to really dedicate myself back into work again, which is hard to do when the kids are home. We are just in the middle of Vlogoween and I'm having so much fun with that in particular. So that's it. That's all I have for you this week, this time, friends. Not this week, but this time. And let me know if you participated in Full Moon Readathon, because if you did and you made a vlog, I would love to go and watch it. I love all things that are Full Moon Readathon. I actually have like a whole playlist. It's hidden. You can't find it. But I have a whole playlist of like Full Moon Readathon content, because Full Moon Readathon is one of my favorite readathons to participate in every year. So let me know down below if you participated, what you read, what you gave ratings, what ratings you gave things, and how many characters you managed to collect. Like I said, the kind thing for myself, which was one of the prompts, is to allow myself to collect all 4 characters, which I've actually never done. But because of the way that I decided to do this vlog as a Reading Like Jan / KU clean out, it's a KU clean out Reading Like Jan Full Moon Readathon edition. That's probably what the title of this vlog is going to be, which is that's crazy work, I know, but that is kind of what this is. It was just like a mashup of my favorite things, you know? So that's what we're doing. And yeah, let me know how you did. If you have nothing to say to me, go ahead and you can leave one of our channel emojis, which is any color heart or a pink bow, or you can leave me any kind of Halloween emoji, most specifically a bat, to show that we love Jan on this channel. Because when I think Halloween, other than myself, I think all things Jan. So that's the emoji you can leave, something Halloween, or one of our channel emojis, which again is any color heart or the pink bow. And make sure to like and subscribe, because I know people will be watching and coming back, but don't be subscribing. What do you mean? And all my links are down below. Patreon, Instagram, wish lists, all of those things down below. None of them are an obligation. They're just there if you want them. Along with a lot of different books to help educate yourself on the things going on in the world. Those are down there too. So, once again, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you somewhere else very soon on the internet. Bye!